Welcome to our video, 11 things you should eliminate to achieve success in the last 6 months of 2024. Stoic wisdom. As we move into the second half of the year, it's the perfect time to reassess and realign our goals. In this video, we'll delve into how the principles of Stoic wisdom can help us identify and remove the barriers that are holding us back from achieving our dreams. Stoic wisdom, with its roots in ancient philosophy, provides us with timeless strategies to cultivate resilience, focus, and inner peace. By integrating these principles into our daily lives, we can navigate challenges more effectively and stay on track toward our goals. The last 6 months of 2024 can be a period of remarkable transformation if we apply the right mindset and make deliberate choices. In this video, we'll outline 11 specific things you should eliminate to pave the way for success, guided by the insights of Stoic wisdom. From letting go of negative habits to distancing yourself from toxic influences, these practical steps will empower you to take control of your life and reach your full potential. Don't miss out on these valuable insights. Watch to the end of the video to fully grasp how Stoic wisdom can lead you to a triumphant year. If you find this content helpful, please subscribe to our channel, comment below with your thoughts, share this video with others who might benefit, and give us a like to support our work. Together, let's embrace the wisdom of the Stoics and make the rest of 2024 our most successful months yet. Number 1. Dealing with people who hurt you. In the journey of life, we may encounter individuals who inflict pain upon us, whether intentionally or unintentionally. It is during these trying times that we must exercise the utmost discernment and prioritize our well-being above all else. As Nelson Mandela, the iconic leader and champion of human rights, once said, "Resentment is like drinking poison and then hoping it will kill your enemies." When faced with those who have disrespected or betrayed our trust, the temptation to engage in futile conflicts or seek justifications can be strong. However, it is crucial to recognize that such actions often serve only to prolong our suffering and distract us from our path of personal growth. The wisest course of action is to disengage gracefully, removing these toxic individuals from our lives without fanfare or confrontation. Mandela's life serves as a powerful testament to the transformative power of disengagement. Despite enduring decades of unjust imprisonment and oppression, he emerged from his ordeal with a remarkable capacity for forgiveness and a steadfast commitment to reconciliation. Rather than harboring resentment towards his oppressors, he chose to channel his energy into building a more just and equitable society. Like Mandela, we must cultivate the strength to disengage from those who fail to honor our boundaries or respect our inherent worth. This does not mean burning bridges or harboring ill will, rather, it involves a conscious decision to create distance and prioritize our emotional and mental well-being. By quietly removing harmful individuals from our lives, we send a powerful message that we value ourselves and refuse to compromise our principles or self-worth for the sake of maintaining toxic relationships. It is essential to remember that we are not obligated to associate with those who cause us harm, regardless of their past significance in our lives. Each of us deserves to be treated with respect, kindness, and appreciation for our authentic selves. When we allow ourselves to move forward without the need to explain or justify our choices, we demonstrate profound self-respect and a commitment to our emotional growth and well-being. Ultimately, the wisdom of disengaging lies in its ability to preserve our inner peace and create space for more positive and nurturing connections to flourish. By surrounding ourselves with individuals who uplift and support us, we cultivate an environment conducive to personal growth, emotional stability, and genuine fulfillment. Number 2. Unnecessary goals. Discernment is a virtue when traversing life's winding path. There will arise pivotal moments demanding the courage to reassess priorities, to discard certain ambitions in order to pursue one's truest calling. Just as a marathon runner sheds non-essential gear to increase speed and stamina, so too must we cast off inauthentic strivings weighing us down. This existential editing process should be a silent private affair. Announcing renounced goals to the world risks revealing deeper motives and leaving strategy vulnerable. With subtlety and poise, phase out obsolete aims gradually, without fanfare. Let each step inward, toward one's essence, be as undramatic as possible. For those paying keen attention, the realignment will speak for itself through changed behavior. Those unobservant need not be alerted. The great Renaissance man, Benjamin Franklin, exemplified this principle masterfully. As a young printer in Philadelphia, he serially relinquished vocations like soap-making to dedicate himself to more literary and statesmanly callings. Rarely did he loudly proclaim, "I am abandoning this goal," but rather allowed his actions to undramatically shift course. With humility, he downplayed early accomplishments like Poor Richard's Almanac to focus energy on weighty affairs of nation-building and scientific inquiry. Franklin's evolutionary pivot from tradesman to founding father was the gradual fruit of tough-minded prioritizing, dropping trivial pursuits as grander chillings emerged. Stealth, not broadcasting, characterizes wise life editing. Number 3. Relationships. Intimacy is a sacred trust between two souls, forged through vulnerability. When that bond frays or severs, it deserves to be mourned with the same sacred silence. To betray confidences by exposing intimate foibles and hostilities to public scrutiny cheapens what was once cherished. It reduces the mystic duality of partnership to tawdry gossip fare, allowing transient anger to overshadow the original spark of connection. The dignified course is to grieve such losses inwardly, protecting prior bonds by locking away unedifying details. If venting feels needful, turn counsel inward through meditative self-inquiry. Unpack grievances and diagnose what internal work yet remains. For the heart's calloused scars ever risk hardening into cynicism without thoughtful tending. When injured by those once beloved, the healthiest remedy is introspection over accusation, seeking personal growth over assigning blame. Consider Maya Angelou, whose life weathered a staggering series of violated trusts. From the trauma of childhood sexual assault to her voice being mockingly mimicked by a close mentor, Angelou's soul endured seismic breaches. Yet her path forward modeled lucent grace. In the aftermath of each wounding, Angelou absorbed anguish through courageous self-work and artistic self-expression. She transmuted ache into wisdom by turning a merciless gaze inward, rather than brazenly castigating those who hurt her. Angelou's integrity was a masterclass in honoring life's inviolable mysteries by shielding her sacred bonds, even frayed ones, from profanation. Discretion surrounding relational ruin is no denial of suffering severity. Quite the opposite, it stems from revering life's most untranslatable essences, as too hallowed to cheapen through emblazoned reproach. True intimacy's disintegration demands being sorrowed with unrequited honor. Number 4. Avoid raising your voice expressing anger during periods of tension. Turbulence is inevitable when navigating life's swirling currents. During such storms of strife, a steady hand and compassed mien are imperative. To broadcast rage is to surrender control, leaving one rudderless before chaotic forces. The wise mariner harnesses distress as fuel for purposeful action, be it steadying the ship through renewed effort or adjusting course with level-headed recalibration. Energy expended in hot-headed outburst is energy drained from meaningful progress. Each flare of temper burns precious life force that could instead be invested with cool determination toward loftier aspirations. Like banked coals stoked into glowing industry, so too can anger's fires be transmuted into productive application, forging emotional resilience through the hammer of disciplined resolve. The virtuoso of self-mastery alchemizes darkness into light, suffering into endurance. Consider the example of Harriet Tubman, the fearless Underground Railroad conductor. In escaping slavery's horrific mistreatment, Tubman could have been consumed by understandable fury toward her oppressors. Yet she marshaled that molten rage, not into blinding tantrums, but into scrupulously devising the clandestine routes that liberated hundreds from bondage. Her controlled intensity became the inexorable force propelling enslaved families to freedom. Tubman's was a masterclass in channeling untold anguish into steely, cold-blooded achievement through sheer force of conscious willpower. When gale winds of adversity threaten to capsize, the dignified solution is not venting squalls of rage, but cinching every psychological sail toward loftier bearings. Each turmoil is a crucible for manufacturing unseen reserves of resolve. With restraint born of utmost commitment to one's highest aims, even tsunami chaos can be quelled into tranquil purpose. Number 5. Don't share your judgments with others. A thoughtless word can leave a permanent stain. To cast aspersions on another, even in seeming confidence, is to spiritually vandalize them behind their back. It also defaces the speaker, revealing an unsavory inclination toward petty denigration. When the urge arises to disparage, pause. Realize such impulses say more about one's own state of being than the alleged target of scorn. The prudent path is to regard all human beings as flawed vessels weathering life's storms, as best they can, each deserving of empathetic presumption. Even those who seem to grate or fall short encapsulate unseen depths, wrestling inner demons invisibly. Rather than glibly attacking surface impressions, one's energies are better invested understanding their own complex condition with merciful self-examination. Consider the luminous grace of Fred Rogers. Though targeted by cruel parodies and fierce culture war volleys, Mr. Rogers responded with relentless caring and insuppressible goodwill. He refused to return fire with toxic judgments, consciously safeguarding even his private moments from acrid negativity. His unflappable aura of unconditional positive regard for human frailty and fallibility was humanitarian activism at its most potent. In suiting up for the strident world each day, Rogers metaphorically donned a suit of psychic armor and unassailable commitment to seek the holy sameness shining beneath each seemingly irredeemable exterior. With infinite reserves of compassionate vision, he peered into the universal child tucked within every kaleidoscopic personality. In doing so, he not only protected the dignity of those who drew his empathy, but fortified his very soul against insidious forces of dehumanization. The high road is invariably the harder road. But to meet darkness with darkness only breeds more shadows. Enlightenment, by contrast, has an unshakable keel steadied by a profound abiding regard for the flecked brilliance peeking, however obscurely, through every fellow human. Number 6. Avoid comparing yourself to others. The ego's most insidious malady is the compulsion to erect hierarchies where none inherently exist. To measure self-worth through the distorting lens of comparison is to embrace a form of psychological self-harm. For in that zero-sum game, there can only ever be remorseless winners and flawed losers, a bifurcation that corrodes the human soul. Each individual's journey through this ephemeral plane is utterly unique, their strengths and shortcomings a distinct constellation. To obsessively map one's perceived flaws and assets onto the terrain of another's is to embrace a delusion of false equivalence. It strips away the sacred dignity of each path's purpose, while miring awareness in an arid feedback loop of covetous wanting and self-judgment. The awakened approach is to regard all lives as equal masterworks, each unfolding according to ineffably organic design. Comparing their compositions is a fool's errand, akin to becoming distracted by the divergent methods through which masterful artists attain their finished creations. What sublimity is savored by appreciating Da Vinci's Mona Lisa and Michelangelo's David as standalone glories, independent of any imagined hierarchy. This wisdom illuminated Albert Einstein, who famously attained global celebrity despite being an underachieving student. When a friend's son began poorly performing in school, the father fretted the boy would never amount to anything of significance. Einstein's reply was characteristically transcendent. Don't worry about your son's progress. Man does his most difficult productive thinking between the ages of 18 and 26. Your budding genius still has ample runway. With that compassionate reassurance, Einstein highlighted how each human being blossoms into fruition along their own perfect, sacred timeline. To look lovingly upon ourselves and others in this way as mystical works in progress, being continuously painted by the hand of the divine artist is to be liberated from comparison's ceaseless hunger. It is to see that every soul shines with equal resplendence when viewed through the wise lens of acceptance. Number 7. Conscious use of social media. Each human life is a sovereign masterwork, a one-of-a-kind odyssey rich with bittersweet memories, hard-won learnings, and existential depths, fathomable only to the soul who has directly traversed them. To attempt summarizing such epic journeys on social media's theatrical stages is to engage in a form of self-diminishment. For the edited vignettes populating those digital galleries are but tantalizing publicity reels, alluring promotional glimpses into each voyager's full-length feature. By immersing in those at advertised moments, one risks becoming dissociated from their own film's profound narrative trajectory. The perilous trap is unconsciously comparing one's most grueling battle sequences or tedious character arcs to the peak dramatic highs being showcased in others' promotional content. It's akin to a masterpiece sculpture previewing mere swatches of polished marble, while scrutinizing its own painstaking protraction from ragged, asymmetric blocks. Such lopsided juxtaposition breeds disillusionment and envy, starving the spirit of fulfillment. The wise path is to engage those highlight reels as precisely what they are: ephemeral promotional snippets designed to intrigue, not autobiography. One sips from their brilliance meditatively, like enjoying an artisanal amuse-bouche, meant to whet creative appetites before retreating to one's own intimate feast. Each odyssey, after all, properly savored in full, is an opus beyond compare. Consider the raptorial focus of Michael Jordan. Though he shattered scoring records and clinched championship wins before arenas of rapturous spectators, his supreme artfulness crystallized in solitary self-distillation. Away from the frenetic theater of competition, in punishing gymnasiums, he metabolized every incremental triumph and setback into phenomenal self-overcoming. The public saw the virtuic swishes and trophy hoists, but not the decadal granitic forging and inward cultivating of unconquerable will and biomechanical mastery. What seemed effortless tap depths the crowd could never conceive, for highlights alone expose negligible surfaces. Social media's gravity well beckons mesmerization by others' curated promotional glimpses. The gravitational field warps self-perception until one's very identity resides more vividly in those simulations than their own psychodramas. Overcoming this anti-self force requires solemn honoring of one's own path's inexpressible majesty, each bend, anguish, and awakening, fueling the fiery quintessence now etching itself into eternity's chronicle. To reverently attend that fever dream firsthand while loosening all vicarious longing for others' alternate scripts, this is the master path of kings and poets. To drink from digital highlight reels as sweet aperitifs before submerging fully in one's own feast is to honor all stories' cosmic grandeur. To discerningly engage such augmented glimpses while slipstreaming through life's full visceral score with integrity and devotion, this alone is living poetry. Number 8. The pursuit of external approval. The human soul withers in the confines of others' approval, its vibrant songbird essence caged by expectations. True freedom means unleashing one's truest melodies, compassing a life symphony heedless of whether it garners riotous applause or dismissive shrugs from the peanut gallery. For the brave artist plays sacred notes solely to outpour their deepest refrains, allowing each tone's perfection to be its own reward. Consider Maya Angelou, who battled to transcend the deafening chorus, insisting her identity reduce itself to society's narrow scripts. As a young, unwed mother, she could have succumbed to an era's pressures to cloak herself in shame. As a black woman coming of age during violent segregation, she could have internalized the venomous lie that her voice and presence amounted to deficient pariah. Instead, Angelou defiantly created on her own terms, forging art that not only challenged America's ugliest narratives, but invited the world to humanize itself through her exquisitely authentic selfhood. Angelou's flair for self-expression was spiritually contagious because it was undiluted by human judgment. Her vulnerability alchemized from innermost permission to shed each layer of contrived personae, transcending socio-political agendas to revel in the mysteries pulsing through her singular, unbroken essence. In resisting the cultural vortex to fashion herself into a commoditized brand, Angelou revealed the dignified path trailing back to our most elemental belongings. Her iconic reckless veracity served as a resonant clarion call that only by being oneself can one gift the world with lasting truths. Such as true courage's quiet crucible to retreat from the Pavlovian theater of reacting to reflected judgments, starving the spirit of sweetest oxygen. It is embracing the chosen path as one's entire universe, irrespective of how it plays to indifferent audiences or affronts conventional etiquette. When compassing each reverberating note through this fortress of self-validating commitment, even seeming failures become profound victories over the oppressive gravity of second guesses. For one has stayed devotionally attuned to their deepest song, allowing it to indelibly etch itself into reality's imperishable record. Number 9. The way we handle our relationships. Intimacy is a cosmos shared between two souls, a realm where vulnerabilities intertwine, secrets cross-pollinate, and inner expanses fuse into something sacred yet ineffable. To betray the privacies of this hallowed union through salacious public disclosures is to desecrate the mystic sanctuary two beings co-created. Even in dissolution, respect for that once cherished dimension demands inviolable discretion. Consider the example of Johnny Cash and June Carter's iconic romance. Though their relationship weathered bouts of turmoil and periods of separation, neither party ever breached the mystical chambers of their profound connection through indiscreet betrayals. The man in black, for all his flaws, maintained a steadfast code of honor, stoically shielding the intimate depths he shared with his beloved from carousing gossipmongers. In doing so, he preserved the snow-globe purity of their union's singularity, regardless of its shifting tides. For those of us untethered to public scrutiny, the call is not just to discretion, but to utmost tenderness and honoring unions' afterlives. A dissolved bond remains an emotional fossil etched into both souls' evolving trajectories, too sacred to treat as cheap entertainment for the prurient. Just as one mourns a loved one's departure by venerating the indelible warmth they radiated, so too must separations from life's great intimates be grieved through meditational homecoming to the essence once shared. The undignified path is to seek fleeting catharsis through venting narrative loopholes or trading profane dissections. For even toxicity has ripples, chapters, inner meanings invisibly coding lessons that transcend deceptive surfaces. To crudely litigate the fallen beloved's phantom crimes is to betray the very soul merger originally consummated. It is to defile the holy resonance of what once throbbed behind mere plot points and conflict. The higher road is one of oceanic reserve and grace, a refusal to cheapen life's most ineffable blessings through garish public autopsy. It is the path of cherishing unplumbed depths glimpsed, then protectively reabsorbing them back into the silent temples from which they were beheld. For those rarefied glimpses behind partnership's veil remain sacrosanct long after the ceremonies die. In this way, even ruptured connections' aftertaste glows incandescent, distilling completion from each fragment. Number 10. Letting go of unrealistic expectations. Disappointment is the bitter fruit born of clinging to fantasies at odds with reality's natural unfoldings. When our expectations become bloated ideals disconnected from the world's trustworthy textures, we curse ourselves to ceaseless suffering. For life's currents flow according to ineffable laws, its unscripted movements heeding only the gravitational pull of great mysteries, not our petty narratives. The awakened path is to lovingly, vigilantly conform one's consciousness to what is. Like a mariner scrutinizing wind and wave patterns, the wise soul regards phenomana's raw isness with a humble fascination. Not seeking to bend reality to phantasmic desires, but humbly discerning how to harmonize with its perfect uncarved rhythms. Consider the equanimity of the Buddha under the Bodhi tree. Rather than railing against life's frustrations or projecting hopes onto delusive mirages, he relinquished all expectation, becoming utterly receptive, porous, soft enough to absorb the cosmos as it exists. From that sacramental emptiness blossomed the sublime teaching of non-attachment that has liberated countless beings. Like the Buddha, we must shed suffocating daydreams weighing us down until we too can settle into untamed openness. Each expectation is a heavy anchor, lashing us to delusional fixations. Liberating our depths allows graceful drifting atop actuality's fluid meridians, no longer fantasizing how the tides should crest and flow. In this spaciousness, all moments are greeted as wondrous arisings, neither pushed nor pulled by grasping need. Joy becomes a gentle continuum, never hinged to transitory accomplishments or grandiose outcomes. For one has transcended the exhaustive chasing ephemera, breathing rarefied airs of complete presence. Crucially, this surrender does not extinguish aspiration, rather, it transmutes cravings into clarity surrounding our most consecrated callings. Visions realign from fixations on preconceived fantasies to panoramic absorption in the sacred calling one was born to serve. Expectation is the antithesis of selfless purpose, binding us to mirrored pursuits of ego's endless hunger. Only by laying down its burdened delusions can the soul truly apprehend where its meteor sparks are meant to blaze. Number 11. Avoid engaging in gossip and spreading negativity. Slander is a pernicious termite gnawing away at the foundations of human dignity. To indulge in idle talk denigrating others is to not only inflict wounds upon your targets, but ironically, to inflict deeper lacerations upon your very soul. Each malicious whisper toxifies the atmosphere, slowly saturating the collective consciousness with diffuse miasmas of mistrust and hostility. The conscientious path is one of steadfast insight into how energy behaves. When we speak ill of another who is absent, we are harnessing the privileged platform of their absence to assault their very being. Worse, their inability to defend themselves further anchors the calumny into the group's psyche. This, coupled with chronic negativity's desensitizing vapors, hastens an unraveling of human regard until society devolves into an arid plain of generalized cynicism and dehumanization. Examine the luminous grace of Nelson Mandela, who by refusing to defame his oppressors, remained upright amid abject dehumanization. Though subject to unspeakable injustice, Mandela shielded his jailers from poisonous ridicule. In doing so, he alchemized their hatred into a sheer relevance, his unassailable compassion steadily eroding the philosophical foundations of apartheid itself. By never once sacrificing his wholeness on the altar of reciprocated toxicity, Mandela paved the path ultimately leading South Africa toward the reconciliation so many deemed impossible. This radiant integrity modeled gossip's alternative, honoring each soul's inviolable value, regardless of their transgressions or one's perception of their character. For to slur another, even behind closed doors, is to inflict a creeping fungus upon the cultures in which those tales spread. A dehumanizing patina that intercedes in human interactions, short-circuiting empathy until only projections of profaned identities remain. Harder but infinitely stronger is maintaining an invulnerable ethic of good speech. Of honoring each person's privacy, containing personal vexations, shielding all tribes from casual defamation scattering spores. For in doing so, one bears the torch of human regard, itself lighting the way toward a climate of basic respect and elevated conversation. From this high ground, reconciliation's green shoots have ample room to flourish, gradually enshrining mercy over malice, clarity over cynicism. As we conclude our exploration of 11 things you should eliminate to achieve success in the last 6 months of 2024 Stoic wisdom, it's clear that adopting these timeless principles can profoundly impact your journey toward success. By eliminating negative influences and habits and embracing the core tenets of Stoic wisdom, you create a foundation for resilience, focus, and inner peace. Remember, Stoic wisdom teaches us to prioritize what truly matters and to let go of what holds us back. As you move forward, keep these insights in mind and apply them to your daily life. By doing so, you'll be better equipped to face challenges and stay on course towards achieving your goals for the remainder of 2024. Thank you for joining us on this journey of self-improvement and growth. If you found this video helpful, we invite you to subscribe to our channel for more content rooted in Stoic wisdom and practical advice for personal development. Don't forget to leave a comment with your thoughts and experiences, share this video with friends who might benefit, and give us a like to support our work. Let's make the last 6 months of 2024 a period of significant achievement and fulfillment, guided by the enduring wisdom of the Stoics.